Welcome to the Garage Grit Podcast. I'm Brad Herlock, your host, and here we have another Origin and Impact series. With us today is Mike from Kempsville Auto. And so, Mike, tell us a little bit about your shop and you. Where are you at?
Hey, Brad, thanks. My name is Mike Scaglione. I'm in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I'm back down to one shop now. Kempsville Auto Care Center is the name of the shop. We're right in the heart of Virginia Beach. Started in the business in 1979. Back then we called them service stations. They were, you had gas pumps and bays, and that was the extent. There was really no independent shops other than the dealerships. Everything was a service station back in its day.
I still come across that model from time to time.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about it because it seems like so many people said this doesn't work and have completely abandoned it.
Well, that was the MO back in the day. So again, 1979. And then by 1988, the oil companies were like, we really want to sell gas. We don't really care about automotive repair. So they started, if you're old enough to remember this, they started trimming down all the service stations and turning them into food shops. So you had a food shop, what we called an under canopy, built into, and then you had MPDs, gas pumps around surrounding that food shop. Then, you got the guys, the Wawas, Wawas and Sheets. That's right. You're in the backyard. That's where they started. They built those stores in the back and put giant gas pumps out front and started cannibalizing food sales instead of, turning wrenches. And slowly that whole concept took a bigger bite into the entire area. So they did away with the under canopy because that was a very limited store underneath that canopy. It might have been, maybe a big one might be 1,000 square feet. So, and where you could build a 2, 3, 4, 5,000 square foot, grocery store practically in the back, and then put, 20 pumps out front.
With that expression, now I need to look up, how do Southerners feel about it? And is it geographical or is it something else? I'm just curious now. I got to figure that out. But I'm familiar with the expression. Everyone is. It's just there's so many of those expressions that we say every day or often enough, and we don't even realize from where they came or I don't know.
Yeah, there's a podcast that it's out there. I'm trying to remember the name of the podcast, but they do. It's like one of those word wise things, and you get to call in and ask phrases and stuff like that, and they'll give you the origin of all of those phrases, where they came from, how they came to be, who said it first. They do a lot of research first on it after you ask it, and they research it.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have all that. We went back into, just to jump back into it, the service stations, as it were. And then we went into the convenience store industry. Shortly after we changed one of our locations at the time back into a convenience store. I probably was there, this was 88, 89. I was like, okay, this is just, this is something that, I've always been hands-on with everything. But those things can run themselves. How hard is it to sell Twinkies and whatnot? So I kind of backed up a little bit, and I was like, I want to open up another shop. So I just happened to have an opportunity to go into a partnership into again another service station, but it was down at the beach. So I jumped into that partnership and left the convenience store industry. Still worked it, but left that location so I could get back into the shop. Opened up another shop, walked in, hand selected the employees that I wanted to go back in there and can the rest of them that were working. It was an existing shop, got rid of a bunch of them, and then started to build it again. I was there for a couple of years. No. This is a kind of name it after the, yeah. It was a Texaco gas station at the time.
I see. Okay. So yes.
So, again, they're all service stations. Yeah. So, back then we didn't have internet.
Right.
This is still the beginning precursor for all that stuff. So you had a phone book. So you wanted to keep your phone number, so you paid for it. You wanted to keep your, the same name because you're already in the phone book. They'd give you a phone book that was, 3 inches thick. Back in our area, we had, growing, and then we had, 1, 2, 3 phone books. And then all of a sudden they came up with the Spanish version of phone books. And now you got more and more. And then the internet slowly took over. But I mean, even when I had my first location, the Kempsville store, in fact, as being my first solo independent location, I had to pay $300. And back then, this is 1990, 1991, it was $300 so I could keep that existing phone number for my shop. Its original phone number. And I had to pay when I bought the guy out, I had to buy his debt. And that was the only debt that I incurred. Everything else I, changed and I got rid of. But to keep that same phone number, I had to buy and pay off his phone bill. And yes, again, there was no internet. Back in our day, we had tilt manuals. They don't even know what they are today. You open up, it looks like a library on the wall of all these manuals, and you would go to that manual and you would open it up, and that would be the repair description of how to fix that particular, to put a water pump on a car or to put a wheel bearing in or something like that. And then you had a separate book. We had these racks up on the counter, and they come in, get a price quote on something. You'd have a labor time guide book that was constantly changing. Every year you'd spend $1,000 to buy a new book. And it was literally, when I tell you, it was a foot thick. It was a foot thick, and you could open it up for every year, make and model, and it would give you, for the most part, it would give you the information, how much the time guide was to replace that.
So today, you had your service advisors going through, or service writers going through that book for time estimates, and you had your mechanic going through it to figure out how to, as you said, install a water pump on a particular vehicle.
Yeah, so the service advisors would have on their front counter, and truly, it was usually the a young kid, or the tech did it himself. You would go up and you would open up that book, and on there you would have parts books. Look up an oil filter. Again, we had no internet, so you would look up an oil filter in that, or whatever. But the water, but you'd have a parts book for each category, and then you'd have a giant labor manual for the time, and then you would handwrite and slowly build a ticket. And mathematical errors, when we first came out with the internet, I mean, I made a mint on just fixing mathematical errors. That was because, ultimately you'd get a technician who could repair anything, but, you tell him, hey man, back then taxes were, 4%. He would like, well, how do I calculate taxes? Are you kidding me? Can't you multiply? But, he couldn't calculate taxes. And they would just line item that out, and you would lose a 4% of your profit because you would ultimately have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah, tax man comes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah, I don't even know how to. I don't even know how to respond to the math deficiency issue, but did you? I'm just thinking about that for a moment. I'm just kind of meditating on that. Like, how much more how many more hours of repairs are getting done per technician as a result of speed of information? It's significant.
It's significant. I mean, a DVI is the best thing since front pocket. So I would tell any shop that is not doing.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I need to make a comment here. Neither one of us have a shirt with front pockets, but.
Oh no, I don't even put those on there anyway.
Okay, go ahead.
I can't stand the shirt with pocket on it.
But you just said the DVI is the best thing since for front-facing pockets.
Front pockets.
Oh, in your pants.
On your pants.
Okay, got it. All right, now that we cleared that
pockets to put all your crap.
Okay. All right. And I'm a big fan of
Another
cargo pants.
lingo.
Okay. So I get it. All right. So I'm sorry, back to the value of DVIs and how, and what they're doing for your shop and for the industry in general. Go ahead.
So for DVI, if you don't already know, or if you're just getting into DVI, digital vehicle inspection, that's what it stands for. Everything has an acronym today for whatever reason. DVI system is ultimately what you need to do. If you don't do it, start right now. It's twofold. It increases sales exponentially, and it's a CYA. And again, CYA, cover your ass, because ultimately you're going to get a car in and the customer's going to go, well, it wasn't doing that before, or I didn't have it. And the first thing you can do is, well, when you presented it to me, it's on my computer. Of course, it's all digitally timestamped. So it's on there. Each one of my employees has their own little tablet. You can do it on your phone, depending on the system that you use, so they can use their phone and or their tablets that I give them, and take that tablet, take pictures. And it covers your ass. And it's when I tell my employees, did you take a picture? And they're like, oh, I'm getting ready to. No, don't call me over until you've taken a picture of it or a video of it. It allows you to take 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8 second video, short little clips, and it stops automatically. You open up a car, an engine or anything, and it's completely filthy. It adds to, the customer's ability to keep their car clean or maintained, I should say, not clean, maintained. So if they come in and go, man, it wasn't doing that before, and you go, look, I took your valve cover off and it's completely caked in oil inside there. It's burnt oil inside there. You haven't been changing your oil. Oh no, this thing's running like it was on showroom condition. Sorry to say, but I'm calling bullshit on that, because the engine tells another story. And for you, if something were to happen, and it's again, CYA, if something were to happen, you've covered your ass. And it's an upsell. When a customer sees a picture of something that's really gnarly on their car, the first thing they're going to do is, oh my God, is that safe? Well, no, it's not safe.
Right.
That's why we're going to spend all of your money and then some. And then it's going to cost you X amount of dollars. And by God, thank you.
That's why we offer financing off of our website to.
Right.
No, I agree. I think there's a lot of value in it, and I'm actually often surprised when I come across shops that aren't yet doing DVIs.
Yes, it is untapped opportunities that a shop should be doing. And in today's market, everything is a challenge. Everything is a challenge. I mean, just dealing with employees is challenging enough than to deal with a customer that doesn't want to unknown, doesn't want to spend $1,000 on their car until you physically walk up and go, wow, look at your car here. And I've got, 6 photos here to prove and to back what I'm talking about. Then they see that, and it becomes that $1,000 then becomes instantaneous.
Well, I had a shop owner tell me that their customers just simply don't want that kind of information, that they already have a great trust relationship with their customers, and they don't want to be overwhelmed with pictures and videos. They just want to know when to come get it. And that's, I suppose it's well and good. My thought is, at the very least, you should still have it in your back pocket.
Yep.
But then the response to that was they already have a really well-oiled process, and they don't want to muck it up. They don't want to, slow
You don't
down.
have to send it to the customer. Yeah. Right. You don't have to send it to the customer. It's like we still do the reports. So they do a digital vehicle inspection. You still do the report. I don't have to send it to them. In fact, like you said, 50, 60% of my customers, I already know them. I've done this my entire life, and I already know those customers. And my employees will, okay, well, I'm going to need this, this, and this. And I really look at my service advisor and order it. Don't even talk to me. Order it. Get whatever we need, fix the car, and I'll call them. Or just call them and tell them it's done. Like you said, it's done.
You've got that trust factor.
Because they're gonna spend the money, and they want their car fixed, and they only want to come see you. Today's cars, maybe once, twice a year at the most. It used to be 3 times a year. Now we're down to like just under 2 times a year that they're going to stop. And when they stop, they're offloading their entire paycheck,
and that's
to get their car.
And that's why, going back to the convenience store gas model versus the gas model with the repair shop, I don't need to see you on a weekly basis. I do need food on more than a weekly basis. And based on me, I eat food pretty regularly. So, so I told my wife, I said to her, when we got married, I said, listen, love would be nice, but I really just need respect, food, and sleep. And you don't, actually, I said it the other way. I said food, sleep, and respect. I said, and you don't need to provide the first two. You just need to not stop me from them. And so she'll regularly pat me on the belly and say, obviously, I haven't stopped you from number one. Good job.
Good job. And I'm the exact opposite. My wife and I met her, at 20 years old, and I took her out for her 21st birthday. We've been together since. So it'd be 37 years coming up here in 3 weeks. And I always worked so daggone much, because way back in the day, I was working 7 days a week in shops. We never closed. We were open 24 hours a day for the gas, and then the shop would be open, and the bays, we were open minimum of 6 days a week, some shops for 7 days a week. But when I would come home late at night, you're sweating your nuts off, and I was like, sweetie, don't cook dinner. I don't want dinner. I was just emphatic about that. Do not cook it. Do not do it. Speak of the devil here. She's walking up to me. She's not going to be seen on camera. Yeah. So she would roll up. She had to come check my phone for something, but I would roll in at night, and I usually had a second job going on at the same time, again in the same automotive world. And I would tell her, don't cook dinner. I love food. I have to eat my breakfast, and I have to eat my lunch. Dinner, well, I would just snack on something, but otherwise I cannot eat dinner and get bloated and then try to go to bed. I'll never sleep. When you get older, and nowadays you're never going to sleep anyway. So, you get 3 or 4 hours, and you're like, man, that was awesome.
Man.
And then you wake up and you're ready to go again. Where's some coffee? And then I'm ready to rock and roll.
Okay. All right.
I'm already high strung enough as it is.
I don't know that I'm going to be able to relate to that. I think I'm going to need more than 4. We'll see. But yeah, I was, the dog was giving us issues the other night, and my wife was like, why aren't you just going to bed? I was like, because I'd rather stay up late and then deal with the dog that's going to give us issues tonight than go to bed and be woken up in an hour and a half, because I will be miserable if I have to. I'll be less miserable if I force myself to stay up a little bit longer and then deal with this. Anyway, back to shop and back to efficiencies. I'm on board with the DVIs. I think there's a lot of value in them. I think there's I love video content from a marketing perspective as well. So I feel like there's opportunities even just to grab those 8-second videos for different educational bits on social media or whatnot. So, and I love when it's personalized with your text actually speaking in the background as far as what's going on. This is this, right? And this is why. Now, like I said, you only have 8 seconds, so you got to be quick, but still. But I think there's a lot of value in just maintaining it for your own records. I think that's the other thing is the DVIs make, I don't want to say your technicians and shop foremans more replaceable, but in a way they do, because they could watch the last DVI for that particular car to get a little bit of a background information, right? Did they ever do that? Did they ever look to past history of the car in the DVI records?
The service advisor will. She'll pull up information on the car. If we have a comeback for whatever reason, she might go in. He might go in and look at it.
Like, so I bring my car in 9 months later. You don't actually try to find out what you guys did last time or why you did what you did?
Yeah, they do, but it's usually spelled out in the invoice from the previous one. So we don't have to go back in and view it. Now, they are stored on the cloud. So it's an unlimited storage amount out there for my guys to rarely ever. It's usually just photos of what it looked like, and then it's noted again in writing on the ticket. And, the girls try to send that to, and I know I keep saying I'm being sexist, the guys and girls, my service advisors, they'll send out the information to the customer, and they may or may not view it. And depending on the customer, we may not, if it's an all good report, like a state inspection or something. Virginia, Pennsylvania, you have state inspections as well too. So we may not send them a report unless there's something that fails, a safety issue that actually fails that they need to address. And then we send that picture to them of whatever it may be, so that can do it. But our state inspection here is only $20. Yours, yeah, it's easy. It's easy. We've tried, and in fact, it's going to come up. It'll come up with VAA. It's an ongoing battle every year. Some legislation committee is trying to get it knocked down to where we don't have it at all. There's just an FYI, there's only 12 states in the country that are still left doing state inspections. Pennsylvania being one.
That's interesting.
Virginia being another. Yeah. Everybody else is kind of canned them.
Why do you think that is?
They depending on who you talk to. For us, the repair shops, they say that, well, you guys are profiting on us. Well, no, it's by law, you don't have to have the car repaired from us. We just inspect it per the guidance of the state police. And then if it fails, you can take the car home and fix it yourself. You could take it to your brother, your uncle, your cousin, or another shop and let them fix it. But it has to meet this specification that the state police put out. It's a safety program that they put out, not us. We didn't write the book. They did. But it's an undue burden. And then the politicians call it a tax. It's okay, $20. You will waste $20.
Hey, listen, if I only have to pay $20 on a tax, that's I'm excited about that tax. I'm not excited about any taxes, but I'm excited about that tax. It's only $20. It's great. Was that annually or is that biannually?
No, it's annually. And you go to the doctor and you have a physical. I don't know if you do or don't. I go to the doctor every year and get a physical, and it's, they go, okay, boom, 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 check you here or there and poke a few things. And then you walk out the door and, okay, great.
Yeah.
And, if there's a problem, hopefully you can get in front of it. And it's the same way with state inspections.
Well, so I feel like this is a conversation point. And I wonder if this is like a worth of a panel to discuss. Because I was talking to somebody from, I want to say it was the state of Georgia, that was talking how they wish that their state had state inspections. Because he felt that it would be easier to explain the minimum requirements for the car. I guess he feels he ends up with so many cars that are below what he thinks are road appropriate. And he's trying to get them to realize they need to make these upgrades, and it's budget first as opposed to safety first. And he feels that if there was a state mandated minimum, it'd be an easier sell. But as you've pointed out, there's baggage that comes with the state mandated anything. And in Pennsylvania, they've been making some changes in past years, but there was a time when there was a state inspection and a county inspection. So depending on where you lived, you might have to have two stickers, on your windshield. So, and the standards were different. So it's, and I think actually, I don't know. I know that I don't worry about it because I take my car to the shop and they handle it, and whatever they tell me it needs to be done, there's you have that trust factor, right? So, but I know that in some counties there's only one sticker on their windshield because they don't need that extra inspection that's required in my county.
And that's where I can tell you, if you are in the state of Virginia, this podcast I know goes out all over the place, but if you're in the state of Virginia, when we have our convention this year, we will be hosting the state police, and we have asked them, and they have volunteered to send representatives to come in. And I can tell you that it'll be very constructive, but they've got thick skin, and they're going to be ready to get ambushed with, all kinds of questions. And why do we do this? Why do we do that? How come you keep putting more and more burden on us as a state inspector, we as state inspectors, and it's still only $20.
So I wanted to go there.
There's two different sides.
Yeah, I wanted to go there real quick. All right, so we're talking about the VAA, right? And you guys meet in April, roughly. Right. So,
right.
And this is being recorded in 2025. So we're talking about April 2026. And,
Correct.
And you make a really, really valid point. I wanted to ask, and you kind of already kind of hinted at it. They've mandated the cost of the inspection. And when you do the inspection, you refer to it also as a tax. So I pay you the $20. How much of it do you have to send to the state?
So currently right now, it's a 70 cents goes for every sticker that we write. 70 cents for a car goes to the state. On a motorcycle inspection, it's $2. Don't ask me how they creatively come up with that number. Whether you reject the car or pass the car, it's still 70 cents. And again, I don't call it a tax, but there are politicians that call it a tax. And again, that's the two sides of the coin. The state police say, hey, we're going to start a safety program, and this is the way we're going to implement it through, and I guess they put us out there as wardens of the state for a state inspection, and we get to inspect the cars per their protocol of their book. And then on the other side is the politician, and he's looking at keeping constituents, and he says, well, we're going to limit that dollar amount that you can actually collect. And even though it's going to take you 30 minutes, 40 minutes to do that state inspection, most shops today, I don't know if their labor rate, and just hypothetically say it's $150 an hour. It's $150 an hour, and you're going to do 2 state inspections an hour, maybe for $40. I mean, we'll just do the math on that. That's just not going to compute.
So
now you've got
why not?
technicians.
So why not just stop doing inspections? Why can't you? You're allowed to say I don't want to do inspections, right?
Nope. If you want to be a state inspection station in the state of Virginia,
that's what I'm saying.
you have
you
to
can
offer
choose
it.
to not be a state inspection station.
Yeah. Okay. You will shoot yourself in the foot to a little degree, because
it sounds like you're benefiting by $100 an hour.
Well, it is, but you also get a little bit of that work. Let's say you get 30-40% of that work that you reject a car, or you find a problem with the car, and the customer says, fix it. And it's usually something minor, like literally, how many light bulbs are in a car? There's 25 light bulbs in any given car that's out driving around today. So you have 1 or 2 light bulbs burned out. It maybe need a set of wiper blades, something really simple, what I call hit and run spots. You get these quick little sales, and you stock all those little items because they're low cost. I don't stock parts anymore, but I do stock every light bulb, every wiper blade, all that little easy stuff that I need to do a state inspection, so I can get the customer in and out quickly. And, is it worth keeping?
I'm doing the math.
I mean, let's be realistic.
I'm basically doing the math in my head. I'm trying to figure out if 30% of those state inspections are actually going to convert to more stuff, how much does that RO need to be to offset the other 70% that didn't, that you lost $100 on?
And I'd have to sit down and put a number to that, but it's, in addition to that, in the state of Virginia, we have to offer state inspections 5 days a week for a minimum of 8 hours a day. So I have to be available for state inspections. Now, I have 2 ways of doing it. Either what we consider first come, first serve, or I can do it by appointment only. So I could limit how much state inspection, but the troopers do drive around, and they do inspect your inventory and whatnot. And if you're in there doing, an engine overhaul in that bay, and you're not doing state inspections, now the trooper's going to have a problem. So, you're offering state inspections and you're not performing that work. So they could potentially have a problem with that. So, I mean, is it worth it? Yes, it is. No, it isn't.
No, I'd be doing a real deep dive on the money on.
As president of VAA, we want to have a state inspection program. We want to have a safety program to keep everybody safe on the road. It's not just for me.
Yes.
It's for the guy. I'm not worried about me. I fix my shit. I'm sorry. I fix my cars. It's the guy behind me that I'm more concerned about. Right. When I jump in, I call it the oh shit moment. Right. When the car in front of me stops and I jam on my brake pedal, I want the guy behind me that I want him to know that he's maintained his car as well. And he too is going to be able to stop in a timely fashion and not be riding around on bald tires and stuff, no brakes or whatever, and then ram into the back of me or hurt my wife or kids or grandkids or whatever. Here's the big issue. They don't, they always say they give us statistical data saying, well, the state inspection program you only did, $2 million in repairs. So why do we even do it? Well, because the state, we have to click off on the boxes of what we repaired and an approximate dollar amount of what that repair cost. But in reality, the state inspection program doesn't follow. Like if you're in an airplane and you crash, guess what first thing they do? They run and grab that black box. They pull that black box out, they open it up and they go, okay, the engine speed was this. The captain had the joystick at this degree. He had this, that, and the other, and they can narrow it down to exactly what happened, whether it was a human error or whether it was a mechanical failure. In a car accident, they literally look at it and go, following too close. They didn't know that you were driving around on bald tires, no brakes, steering rack and pinion broke or anything like that. They don't. It doesn't fall into their protocol. They just said following too close. Or you drifted into another lane. Well, you drifted into another lane because the front end came apart in your car and you couldn't steer the car, or you hydroplaned on water and you went off the road, or you hit another car.
Or you're too reliant on the calibration and it hasn't been calibrated in the last 5 years. And, or after that little fender bender. But I actually was reading a report recently that suggested that even if you haven't been in a little bit of a bump or whatnot, that your calibration can actually on certain cars start to, get off track and need to get it recalibrated. Which
on today's cars.
on the newer cars, right? So my mind just got, oh my goodness, the cost of ownership on a car just went up. And when I talk about the cost of ownership, I'm talking about the cost to maintain, not just the purchase price, right? And so, nobody's thinking about that. Nobody's talking about that. And so,
I truly believe that in 5-8 years, I'll be retired.
Okay.
In 5, if you're like my age, if I buy one more car, it'll probably be the last car I ever buy.
Yeah.
Because the autonomous car is coming in. It'll be the last car I ever buy.
Okay.
And, we'll drive that car. And as time goes on, autonomous cars are going to set the pace. And you and I will be like my kids. Sorry, bugs are flying at me. You and I will have, when the autonomous car does take control, there'll be certain days of the week that you and I as humans, we get to drive. And after that, the autonomous cars are on the road. It'll be a certain block of hours, and it's going to happen in our lifetime. Yeah.
I'm just trying to wrap my mind around that. It's going to be a lot of pushback and because especially in rural America where some of the reasons that we have vehicles is because it's that it tracks with the older car commercials of freedom. Right?
Yeah. But as attrition takes place and I, slowly fade away and your next generation, your kids will know no different. My grandson that was born 4 months ago, the second one, he will never drive a car. It will be self-driving cars. The autonomous car will take him from point A to point B. And he might not ever own one. He might be in like a little conglomerate. Again, my opinion of a car ownership where you buy a piece of a car and that car is that fleet of cars is in a continuous loop. Kids today, they'll Uber everywhere. Some like to drive in rural areas.
Again, the more rural parts of the United States are going to be slow adapters. What you just said is very likely for metropolitan areas, such as even in Virginia Beach, right? Like you have plenty of people, plenty of roadways, and so my wife complains about where we live from time to time because she feels like it's in the middle of nowhere. And I explained that,
so there's not a mall around.
See, that's just it. In my mind, there is. It's less than 15 miles. It's like 15 miles away. And so I think, but it's a 30-minute drive because, or 35-minute drive because of the traffic, right? And so again, if you're in the middle of nowhere, the nearest Walmart is an hour away, right? If you're in the middle of nowhere, you don't have a 4-way stop sign at the end of your road, end of your paved road, right? And so that you regularly have to wait for other cars like that. So that's my response is no, just because we have a tree in our front yard does not mean that we live in the middle of nowhere. And so
but we're in America and we have that I want it now mentality.
Yes.
Yep. I want it now. I don't want it in 35 minutes.
Right.
To go drive there and drive back to get it. I don't want to have to cook tonight. I want it now. I want it delivered. Well, they don't. You're way out of their delivery zone.
Yes,
we need to move.
That's the other comment. There's only 3 places that deliver here. Well, you're right. We live too close to people. We need to move further away.
Well, that drone is going to be delivering it fast enough. You wait.
Now that I can see happening sooner, especially in rural America, right? And so I do.
I'm going to tell you right now, you say rural, you're in rural America, but right now you use autonomous stuff more than we do in the inner city. All of your tractors that are out running around are running on geo tracking. And a lot of those tractors in rural farm areas are running back and forth, cutting, plowing, and doing whatever with autonomous, capabilities. And then the long haul truck drivers, a lot of those today are being driven and in having driverless truck drivers.
Well, that would have been advantageous in Florida recently. But even still, I don't know. Yes, technology is going to play a part, but where I'm coming from is like by the time I order an Uber, by the time it gets here, I could have gotten to where I want to be. And so, so for me, it's a matter of that independence. So I was telling someone about my trip to Maine that I took a long time ago. And a bunch of friends of mine went up and they were like, why don't you just ride with us? And I'm like, no, I will take my own car because I'm not a control freak, but I am a control enthusiast. And I like being able to just to say, okay, I want to go somewhere. I'm going to pick up and go. And the dog was in the front seat and we went the 18-hour drive to Maine. It was great. And it was easy. It was fine. It was perfect. So people probably would be upset that I didn't have my dog harnessed in the seatbelt.
Yeah. But no, that's okay.
But
18 hours? Oh, that's my limit is 6. After 6, I'm like, where's the plane? Because we need to get on an airplane and fly there because I don't want to ride in a car for 18 hours. That's consuming a day of vacation.
Yeah.
And then I have to wind down a little bit. Let's fly there, get there, come back.
It was fine. I did it in a day. I don't know that it actually took the entire. I think I actually beat the time that it was estimated, and we only stopped a few times. Like we stopped for food and gas, and so not at a service center, at a gas station with convenience.
Yeah.
And the dog was great. She was fine. We just stopped when I needed when the car needed to be stopped, and so it worked out. I don't know. It worked out fine. It was good for us. It was. The wind was in our hair and the windows were down, like that Jim Carrey movie where they both have their their head out the window, catching bugs in their teeth. But anyway, I don't know. I just, I think that freedom is there's going to be a lot of pushback. And maybe you're right. Maybe the younger generation, like you said, they've known nothing else. But I'll have you know that my son is already learning how to steer and operate the pedals with our small tractor on our property.
Yeah.
And so, with any luck, he'll want to have that freedom too. So
he'll be flying drones for the military or something like that, or for any one of the entrepreneurships that start up to deliver food, whatever. He'll be flying drones for them.
Right now his plan is to be in the NFL.
Oh, okay. At 10 years old, that's good.
He's not going to start at 10. He's starting his journey now, but
right.
That's his plan.
Hope he's a big boy because they seem to grow him really big.
Yeah, he's not yet much bigger than I was at that age, but still, when you look at the rest of his football team, he's on the bottom 25%.
Smaller scale. Yeah. Well, he better be damn fast then.
He needs to work on that too. But
yeah.
But on his squad, he's one of their starting corners, and so he's got potential. He's got his attitude dialed in a little bit more in that area than the other areas. And I've told him, attitude is everything, right? So that's the win. But all right, so let's get back to shops. Let's get back to talking about the idea of, I mean, I did mention this, but I do occasionally see gas stations and service stations paired up, but it's so infrequent. Why do they still exist at all, though? What's the? I don't know the financials. Do you happen to know any shops that have both? And
yeah, there's still a couple and I'll say rural areas, in neighborhoods that are set way back or out in the middle of, some of the farm areas that we have out here. There's still a service station that, that same concept is still out there. But the more metropolitan you get, the
less it is.
less likely you're going to, the less likely there's not going to be that commingling.
Okay. All right. So that's where the holdout is holdouts. Again, the holdouts in the rural. That's fine.
Again, it's financial. So, I mean, you're already established, you're not going to recreate the wheel. You've already got the base.
Yes.
You've already got the gas. It's already been zoned. It's already been insured.
Yes.
It's already been built.
Yes.
Why recreate the wheel? Believe me, I've built locations, and it's a very expensive proposition to build a gas station today with the insurance needs that they have to have. And it's your automotive repair is easy. It's already there.
So, okay. So you mentioned zoning, and you talked about the, build. Did you actually build any of your other 5?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what local government pushback did you have when you went through that? And how many? That was 2 decades ago that you did that?
Well, I mean, they've all been built. There's let's see, 1, 2, 3 have been there. Two were built, and 3 were
already
established. But I mean, if you build one or you redo one, we call it a tank farm. They're all in the ground. Your tank farm. If you have a community or a neighborhood right around there that has some sort of covenant, or they've got their own pond, what we call a BMP, a runoff pond, you are a nightmare, because if one of your tanks leaks, so you have to certify those tanks. If one of those tanks, guess what? They can tell you which way their water table is running. And if it's running toward their little pond and you contaminate their pond, well, by God, your world is getting ready to end.
Yeah. Now let's get rid of the service station concept. And you said the auto repair is easier. Have you had any kind of interaction with local government or with establishing or redoing a repair shop? I ask because I've come across a handful of shops who are really struggling with their local municipality as far as either expanding or moving to a new location. And I wonder what the climate is like in Virginia. Or
same thing. It's always they have their, I'm trying to think of the words I want to use, but they have their idea of what the city is going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. They have this futuristic plan that they look at. And the day of the transmission shop, the automotive repair shop, and all these machine shops or grunt areas, the dirty environments that they look at, they want those in industrial areas. So they don't zone anymore in that. If you want to open up a repair shop, you're in an industrial park, basically. So you're going to open up a shop. Now, if it's already zoned, or you have a standalone building that you can then cordon off to, maybe it has one ingress and one egress, to where you go in and it's like a 10 bay shop inside, outside. So you have a noise ordinance as well too that you might have to deal with. So all of that is contained. Then you might be able to build. Well, I mean, you've got the big tire guys that are building these big shops, and they can do standalone ones. But as far as certain areas, the zoning is paramount to the city, and they don't want to allow you to come in. They want you to go to an industrial area.
So I've been kicking around the idea of having, you're familiar with the SOPs, the shop owner panels that we have once a month. And I was kicking around the idea of having a panel in October. This is an off election year, or that's how it's referred to. It's not a national election year. It's a local election year. And so the number of people that don't bother to vote is mind-blowing to those of us who are very interested in paying attention to what's going on, both locally and nationally. Anyway, so I thought about having a panel on, talk to just to address how they've worked through those ordinances, those zoning issues, those battles with the local municipalities, and just to share those experiences with each other. And the point would be, don't wait until it's time to expand your shop for 5 more bays. Know who's in office now and vote for the people today who are going to be business friendly or repair shop friendly. And as opposed to those who are going to be against it. I had a guy on a panel a couple months ago. I'm pretty sure he invited the FBI to investigate his local municipality officials. And so,
how to win friends and influence others. That's
right.
He wrote the book.
Yeah, there. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a classic book from 1933, 37.
Sorry.
Yep. So
yeah.
Anyway, yes. But I find the struggle really interesting, and I kind of want to hear from people as far as how they've worked through it. And I kind of want to increase awareness that it's not a time to be passive just because it's not in the news the way a federal election is. Technically, the way it's structured, they should and they do a lot of times have more influence on your day-to-day life. And so I think it's important that we pay attention to it, whether you have kids in school for school board or just even the local officials.
Oh, yeah. Everything touches you as an entrepreneur. Everything. Everything, no matter what you think you might want to do. Sometimes it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, but you're still going
and
to.
Just to clarify, Mike is not an attorney. So anyway, you were saying, go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier to ask for forgiveness, but for those that want to expand their shops in certain areas and municipalities, if you want to expand, you've got an existing location. We call it green space here in Virginia Beach. If you want to take away X amount of green space, you have to or if you asphalt your parking lot, that runoff that is now created has to go somewhere. So they might force you to put in a BMP, a pond, a small retention pond, to collect that rainwater and filter it before it gets into the spillways, before it gets into other irrigation, before it goes out into the Chesapeake Bay.
How about this? Set it up so that it drains into your own retainer pond, filter that water, and use it for a car wash that you're going to put on.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But we do use that now. It is done that way. The car washes, if you look in the middle of the bay, there's a grease trap.
Yep.
So it has chambers in the grease trap, and that water is pulled out and then gone through an RO system, reverse osmosis, and it's then cleaned, and it uses what we call gray water and then RO water to clean your cars.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
So, well, then why not use rainwater then?
It is. There was a company many years ago called Pure Cycle that I used to have stock in, and basically you had a cistern and of say 10,000 gallons, and all of that rainwater that you collected and all of your pee, it was an open loop of pee, poop, whatever you did, and it was all purified and then put back into your system. So you were drinking the same water time and time again.
A little disturbing.
A little disturbing, but we do it today.
No, there are certain municipalities that's their entire setup. It's a
correct.
Yes. We won't name those municipalities in case you're considering moving, but
and you don't want to know. Man, this is a cold glass of water.
Yes.
Put some ice on
Going
this.
back to where we live versus where others live, we don't have water supply to our house. We have a well, right? We have a septic tank, and every now and then my wife will comment about the cost to maintain or repair those things, and I said, "Have you done the math? Look at your water bill. Look at your on your and add that up over a period of 20 years or 30 years, because that's what you're talking about, and feel free to make the comparison." And by the way, we got to choose what chemicals we got put in our water, right? That was our choice. I like the freedom thing. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of freedom. So it's kind of where I stand on that. But that's why I want to be able to have my own car and drive wherever I want. And It's also why it's an SUV as opposed to a low riding sedan. I want options. And so
you want weight around you.
Yeah. That too. Yeah.
All
right. So let's talk a little bit about the VAA. How many members you got over there?
We have 200, a little over 200 members right now, as far as shops. And then we have our vendors as well. I know it seems it's not a big pull in information or as far as people, but they can be very influential in terms of our industry. What we would like is to have more people sign up. Obviously, it's literally $350 a year, and it connects you to a pile of wealth of information. Once you become a member, you're connected to Cisco. Cisco is a national company that it's HR. So if you ever have a problem, which inevitably you could potentially have one, you could call Cisco up and say, hey, I'm a VAA member and, I've got this situation, and they would advise you on, what steps to take or not to take. And then in addition to that, we have vendors that we connect you to that are part of our, vendor members. And, they're for the VAA members, they have certain deals that we connect out to, whether it be bulk oil, whether it be, parts, Napa, O'Reilly's, AutoZone. You'll get discounted, parts for them. Insurances,
so you're going to get
hosting
more,
companies.
You're going to get in discounts and services. You're going to get more than $350 a year.
Way more for your dollar. I mean, realistically, you're going to spend $350 a year. It's literally what I say, 2 to 2.5 labor hours a year. That all you have to do is go turn 2.5 hours in your shop, depending on where you're located, and it's paid for.
Yeah.
And even if you sit back and do nothing, if you have one exposure for a customer and or an employee, that could save your ass just with that one exposure, and it would have paid for that entire, a 10 years worth of you being a VAA member, and you did absolutely nothing with it.
Yeah. Interesting. What's the pushback from, Virginia has about 2,000 or 2,500 repair shops in the state of Virginia?
It's time. Everything is time today.
Okay.
Literally, when I tell you time, it's, life has gotten hard. Look at it this way. Every generation has said the exact same thing. When I was a kid, we didn't have that. Same thing that our generation is saying now. When I was a kid, we didn't have this, or life is getting it. They said the same thing. The baby boomers, I'm a baby boomer. We're saying the same thing. You'd work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, depending on what it is to make ends meet. Today's kids work less, but we're still doing a lot of work. And technology, with all the inputs that we have coming in, things have really gotten complicated. And, with all that going on, you need to be able to trust somebody else to help you, because you can't do it by yourself. You just can't do it all alone. So you have to have somebody that can help you with business, sometimes life, sometimes your marriage.
Interesting.
No,
I think about that because here I am, I'm in the X generation, and I wrestle with, should I be able to take care of all of the maintenance and repairs on my own house? Do my own oil change on the car? Like these are the things that we kind of grew up thinking about, and that was our process. My hands just zoomed in the camera. Because did you see that?
Yeah, I did. I was like, wait, what happened?
So I think if I go like this,
So if you go like this,
and I go like this, there we go. Zoom back out. Yeah. All right. So, this is not an Italian camera friendly, talk with your hands kind of, camera. All right. So, hands down. I wrestle with that, right? Because, we do live in a world of specialists. And so I can't fix my own HVAC system. That's definitely beyond me. And so I try to find the repairs and things that I can do. and
time permitting,
and time permitting, and actually, I don't mind the time it takes to do them. I mind the battle to find the time to do them.
Which is exactly our world today. I mean, I am literally, when somebody says, well, how did you get this done? Well, you have to let somebody else do it. I mean, you have to specialize almost in something and then let the chips fall and then let somebody else put the rest of it together. And when I tell you for me, I learned to surround myself with employees that will work and that kind of have the same mindset that I do. Together, we can make this happen, but I can't do it all. There's no way for me to run the front desk, to come back in here, to do paperwork, to be the accountant, to be, the banker, to be all. I have to hand it to somebody else to let them do it.
Yeah.
Because there's just no way. I don't care if it's work and or your house, because by the time you go out and you put in, as an entrepreneur, by the time you put in 8, 10, 12 hours a day, you are not coming home to think that, oh, and I got to fix the air conditioning,
right,
or I'm going to paint the house.
Right.
No, you're going to want, where's that beer? Let me sit down and get off my feet. And where's my wife?
Unless you have kids, and then it's racing
unless you have kids.
Then there's no beer. You got to race them to football practice. And
again, you have to allow for somebody else. I mean, my wife, God bless her soul. I mean, she raised the kids.
Yeah.
And, did she work a formal job? Occasionally. But for the most part, she worked 10 times harder than 100%. I did. She worked with me.
Yeah.
And raising the kids. Yeah. I would, come together. She would come up, grab the paperwork, do the paperwork, take the money to the bank, do whatever we needed to be done. Go get me parts. She was my go-to everything for anything and everything. If I could stay at the shop, spin that wrench, and she would, if I couldn't get that part in a timely fashion, by God, that phone was being picked up and I'm calling her. Because they didn't have, express deliveries back then or anything. They didn't use deliveries like they do now. They use, what's the name of the delivery company that they solicit out to these, I can't even remember, trying to think. I'm having a brain lapse right now. The name of the delivery.
Are you looking for, okay, so, I mean, it varies from area to area, doesn't it? But I mean, are you looking at you're not looking at like a standard shipper like UPS or something like that? You're looking at
no. They use
a local company for
like an Uber driver, but they'll hand it to like a driver. The drawback there is where they have their own corporate drivers that will bring parts around. Those, if you have a wrong part, a defective part or something like that, they can take those parts back. But when you hand it to an Uber driver or whatever they solicit to a contract driver that they've hired, they're not allowed to take any parts back. So, once a day, once a week, we have to call them and say, hey, send me one of your guys, because I have stuff that needs to get cleaned up. I can't have all this stuff sitting on my counters. You are just typing.
I am. I'm trying to find the name of that company. Can you hear the keyboard? Is it that loud?
I did. Okay. No, I can hear subtle thumping going on.
All right. I got to work on my the arthritis in my hand.
I'm glad you can at least look at the monitor while you're typing. Me, I would be down here. I'm like two-finger typer. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, can you wait 10 minutes, please? I spelt my name incorrectly. Let me back that up.
Okay, so that search didn't.
DoorDash.
Okay, hold on. They're actually using DoorDash for repair parts
to bring you parts.
Yep. Wow, that never even occurred to me.
And,
okay.
Yeah, DoorDash.
Okay.
So corporate uses DoorDash. They have a large corporate contract with DoorDash, and they will bring you parts.
Wow.
So when they have no drivers available, which is every day practically,
now, is there marketing?
They have a very
marketing. You no longer have to call your wife. You no longer have to call your spouse. Your relationship is going to be improved by using DoorDash.
Oh yeah, no, I don't call her, and that's all done on their end, not on our end. Anyway, that's all done via the auto parts. That's how that's their part of their sales. It's one of them says we're going to get out the door in no time at all. Are you going to?
I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit, see if that worked. How did I do it last? It was like this.
No, you went like that or something like that.
So hold on. Okay. I'll have to study this camera. There we go.
There you go. There you go.
So, all right.
Maybe you had to hold it a little closer to your face.
I think that's what it came down to, and a little bit slower as opposed to my jerky reactions. But you gave me a memory of my family growing up, and the number of times that mom was being I mean, my goodness, like you said about the full-time job piece of it. I mean, at least we have hours that we can go home and have that beer, so to speak, right? I mean, it's if you're the primary parent in that, you don't stop. It's 24/7, and there is no downtime unless you hired a babysitter, and even that's you're still on call. And yet, yes, the number of times that my mom got a call from my dad, I need you to go to the electrical supply house to get these parts so that I can finish this job so that I can be home at least 2 hours after dinner. So otherwise, it's going to be even later.
Fred, you have no idea how much I look forward to going to work sometimes when I was, much younger.
Oh, because the kids in the house?
Yeah, just to get rid of the chaos and all the noise that's going on around you. Okay, I'd rather listen to an impact gun go off and employees, cussing at a car than to have that. It's like you said, it's constant. It's 24. Yeah. They don't have downtime. Yeah,
it's impressive though.
And I only had 2 kids.
Okay.
2 kids.
Amazing.
But I mean, I just don't have that patience and tolerance right now. I never did. I would hand it to her, and God bless her. She is an angel.
It's a gift. It really is a gift.
Yeah.
And so, all right. So we keep steering off into life as opposed to focusing on the shops. And I don't know. I think it's a fun conversation.
That's what work is.
But and it's been a long conversation too. I don't know if if you're up against a time stop or real soon or not. But we should probably close it out relatively soon.
No, as long as we don't fall in tomorrow, I'm heading out on the boat to go.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
All right, that's very good.
Yeah.
Back to the VAA. I'm just kind of curious. What is your sales or marketing message? How are you getting the news out to the 2,000 shops in Virginia that aren't members?
So, great question. This year, we've kind of started a strategic planning. Of course, I'm president, and I'll only be president. We have a 2-year stint, and I'm coming to the end of April when we have the convention. I will pass the reins to the next vice president, who will then become president. But we've kind of implemented this strategic planning thing to try to help grow, and we have a younger council, and we call it the next generation. And these are not board members, but they're the next generation that advise us on, what they're looking for, what's going to be beneficial for them, what is working and what is not working. And so to solicit new members right now, we're going to do 4 venues around the state, in different quadrants. One is going to be right here in Virginia Beach, and I've got all 4 of them on my tab, but they're 4 venues, and they're just going to be meet and greets basically. And we'll do them at like pubs, like a brewery or something, or some place where it's kind of an open concept to where we can bring in all these virgin shops that are not members, non-members, and might have a couple of members that are there, and which we will. And, you get to talk shop basically.
Yeah.
And, benefits and whatever, and try to solicit some of these people to become members.
Now, who is
as well as have a social hour.
Yeah, no, I get that. But who is your, it sounds like while there's benefit for a shop with 7 locations to be a member of the VAA, it sounds like there's even more benefit per dollar benefit for someone who is a $600,000 or $700,000 shop that's wanting to grow and wanting to get better and be more efficient. Is that I'm saying like a sole proprietor or maybe a 3-bay shop is going to get a lot more dollar value out of it than somebody who is a 10 location?
I'll just say this real quick. If it's costing you $350 a year, which it does, it costs you $350. If you came to if you just showed up at our national convention, mm-hmm. our state convention that we do, mm-hmm. and you could come away from that state convention with one grandiose idea that would improve your shop, you would exponentially make that money back and then some.
Yeah.
Let's say you just come up with one idea. Oh, by the way, we're going to start charging credit card fees because it's the way of the world right now. Well, guess what? on any given shop, you just saved anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 a year.
Adamantly against that. And we actually had a podcast, one of our very first podcast on the Garage Grid podcast was about whether or not to accept pass credit card fees on to customers or whether to absorb them. And I'm thinking about revisiting that as a shop owners panel conversation, because you still have in today's day, you have people who are so set on, no, this is a cost of business. I don't have to line item that. It is a cost. I need to include it. If I need to increase my hourly rate a little bit, $10 to cover it, then so be it. But it sounds like you're advocating for just passing it along. Does your shop?
I do now.
Okay.
I was not as of 2 months ago.
Okay.
I literally just implemented it 2 months ago.
Okay.
And I was of that same mentality. No. And my credit card fees are, $25,000 a year.
Yeah.
And, that's a chunk of change
Yes.
that, comes out of the bottom line, off the bottom line,
Yes.
out of my pocket, basically,
Yes.
to pay for, and it's, everything's cost of business, everything.
Sure.
But it affects your bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And, do you want to work? The customer, you don't have to call it a credit card fee. The state doesn't. They call it a convenience fee. So rebrand it.
Well,
call it something else.
And yes, and actually, that was one of the advantages to the first episode that we did. We actually had a shop owners panel on it, but we also had someone from the industry as a part of the panel, and they were able to kind of guide the conversation. Now, today we do those a little bit differently. We're actually just now releasing it in the next couple of weeks, a vendor insight podcast episode where we're going to be bringing on people, maybe even credit card processing people, to kind of guide how to word those types of things. What are the best practices for that? The first one that we did was with shop loaners, and it was because multiple times in multiple panels, their name came up, or as far as being able to rent cars or concierge cars for instead of having people wait at your shop. But the I think you're right. You can rebrand it, but there are certain ways that you're allowed to do it, and there are certain ways that you're not allowed to do it. And so it's important that you kind of get that correct. Now that you've implemented it, I'm guessing that that the younger, millennial and younger are like, yeah, whatever. I'm used to it. But the boomers and some of the Xers are kind of like, well, what is this?
They are, but most of them are. I'm not going to say affluent, but they're attuned to society today, and they understand it from the get-go. And the only thing that I did to go to the credit card company when they did come to me and say, hey, and they were soliciting me to say, hey, if you charge credit card fee, blah, 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 we can do this and that for you. And I said, the only thing that I am truly opposed to, and I really had a lot of pushback as far as charging. I was thinking I was going to get like a lot of consumer pushback. Ironically, it's just like raising your labor rate. If you did once a year, twice a year, it's almost blind. You literally go in, you start charging the fee, the consumer just pays the bill.
Yeah.
Some of them say, you know what, next time I'm bringing you cash, or whatever the case may be.
Well, that's
but the only thing that I did,
I kind of felt like, it's a marketing opportunity for you. It's another reason to reach out to your customers proactively. Hey, by the way, there are cash discounts available.
Mm-hmm. So I can offer you a cash discount if you pay cash.
Right. Now, I don't know that you want $20 bills sitting around your shop in $10,000 increments to walk across the street to the bank.
Well, yeah, we don't want that to happen, but sometimes people do carry it's under their mattress, and they don't want to, or they don't have credit card fees because they don't want to pay them. So, or they don't even have a credit card. And so they come in and pay you cash. But I'll tell you what I did do. In addition to charging the credit card fee, I made the company make sure that I don't want to have that stress of, how you bring up your receipt where it says tip 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%. No. I don't even want to see that on my receipt. I am not subjecting my customer to guilting them into thinking that they need to tip. No, that's just not going to happen.
The fee is the fee. Here's the service. Here's the fee.
The fee is the fee.
I'm with you on that.
Correct.
Yeah. Hospitality industry is one thing. Service industry, I kind of feel like charge me more and provide me great service, and I'll keep using you. In fact, I actually had a situation at our home where we needed to have a new water heater installed, and
again, you could have probably done it yourself, but you didn't.
No,
because
nope.
Yeah,
well,
because time is of the essence.
Well, especially since we didn't have any hot water like that, and it needed to be done that weekend or first thing Monday morning.
Or you're going to be
So I went to to the company that we've used for various things in the past, and they came back with a number, and I said, I'll see you Monday. They said, and we can come out Monday morning. I said, I'll see you Monday morning. That's great. And then my wife went and said, we can get this $400 cheaper somewhere else. And I said, we've already had great, exceptional, actually, service from this company. We've already, like, why are we messing with that? Like, just to save $400, and when are they going to be able to do it? Is it next week or is it Monday morning at 9 a.m.? Like, don't get me wrong. I don't know who wants to pay an extra $400 if you don't have to. But back to what you're saying,
that's your consumers today.
I don't need to. I personally prefer to have that trust factor. My home's my castle. I want to make sure that it's cared for appropriately, and my car is my castle on wheels. So let's make sure that it's cared for appropriately as well. But there's also a digital option for cash, by the way, right? So there are options. They don't just have to give you green dollar bills. There are options that they can choose to avoid that fee. Do you accept those as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, the debit card still has a Visa logo on it, so you're still subjected to a
much smaller fee. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they could, if I know them. I normally don't take checks. I've had such a clientele that that they'll write me checks. Businesses will write a check. Sometimes the business will come in and pay the customer's bill because it's one of his employees, and I've known the business or I work with them. They just bring you cash. I've had, sometimes they've cash at me, or they want to Venmo you money or something like that. I'm like, okay, and I just transfer that right back into the account.
Sure. Well, there's proper ways to do that as well. So yeah. So again, Mike's not an attorney, and so look into the proper ways, and who knows, maybe VAA actually has some guidance on some of these things. They have a lot of.
I would not even begin to do that unless you do it through a credit card company and let them follow the state's protocol, whatever they have.
Yep. So. We talked a little bit about your shop. We've talked about the VAA. We've talked about the fact that after we're done here, you're going to go boating. What are you planning on catching today?
No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I don't know. We're going to go out in what we call blue water.
Okay.
We went out. We just had that hurricane come through here, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily it stayed off the coast, but it was hundreds of miles off. But it caused a lot of muck out here. So we did go out Sunday and banged out a few fish, although the water was completely mud. It was really dirty in the mouth of the bay.
Sure.
So tomorrow we're going to go out we have a windmill farm that they're building about 40 miles off the coast. Starting at about 40 miles off the coast, they're building this giant windmill farm. So with any luck, the water is still nice and warm out there, and we'll go out and get some mahi, probably some cobia if they're out there, triggerfish.
Okay.
I would really like to see a wahoo out there.
Do you know anything about windmill farms? I've heard windmill farms off the coast are actually detrimental to the wildlife. You're out there. Do you have any experience with this firsthand?
So, I mean, they've had these out there for I don't know how many years now. There's been two. So they built two. I don't know how this. Again, I'm not an attorney. I'm just Mike Scaglione speaking.
Yes.
I don't know how this windmill farm could actually make a dent in society. These are built in, anywhere from 65 to 100 foot of water. There's a little shelf out there. They're putting, I think it's 172 or 178 of them out there. something like that in this thing. And it's this giant grid of windmills. I don't know how far they are apart. It's a pretty good distance apart, but by the time they put these things in the ground, they're bringing in, I don't even know where they're getting rock. We're in Virginia Beach. We have no rocks. We have flat land here. It's all sand. So they're bringing all this stone to put around the base of these things when we swim down. There's all the stones around them. So that has to be put down. And then there's this giant 600-foot tall structure that sticks up out of the water. And let's just take it. It's salt water. What's the life expectancy of something in salt water? I mean, if you get 10 years out of it, you probably are on borrowed time. Some of these structures are out there. They've been out there since World War II. We've got a couple of lighthouses. I say lighthouses, these, Chest Light and then the Frying Pan Towers. There's these towers out there that are sitting out there for years and years and years, but they are in desperate need of maintenance. And these things are they have nothing running on them. These are windmills. These are giant turning blades that are, kicking around. And are they going to generate enough electricity? Well, I hope they do. Are they hurting the environment? I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't think so. They've been out there for years, and we still have porpoises swimming around. We still have whales swimming around. Yeah, they say, okay, these whales have beached themselves. Okay. Well, we're not the only state that has these things. And it's not, I don't see them, I don't know, but the ship's sonar is a whole lot stronger than I think the magnetic field coming off these things. And they're not really coming in. These are in shallower water. Yes, they do come in. We have tunas come in. We have everything come in, and it's not messing up any.
Okay.
I don't see it happening.
Okay. All right. I'm just curious. I'm just interested in hearing different opinions on it. Like you, I'm suspicious on whether or not
I can tell you when they build one,
but
it's a giant new ecosystem of fish that rolls in on each one. It's its own little aquarium that rolls in. So structurally, yeah, because the bottom was sand. Now all of a sudden we have all these fish that are now inhabiting these rocks that they put down there. Okay. So there are all these pelagic fish that move in and out that were not there, but they're there to hunt because now they I don't know, somehow or another can sense or smell other fish.
Right.
So they come in on these other fish. So it's a whole new ecosystem that's out there in this windmill farm.
Interesting. Yeah, you got to be. So, I think you need to be careful when you're messing with Mother Nature. That's a thing. You got to be. Yeah. You got to be at least.
So I wish aware. It was closer, and it didn't have to take so long to get out there to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I wish I was younger so that I could enjoy it longer? Yeah.
Okay. But, all right. So you're enjoying it. All right. Well, good. All right. Well, we spent a lot of time. I've enjoyed the conversation. I don't know how many edits will need to be made with some of the connection issues that we had, but thank you so much for jumping in and chatting with us today.
I would say one more thing, Brad,
please,
before we go. For those that are just starting out, and or for those that are just kind of virgins in getting into business, and your own entrepreneur, we have no retirement. You have no retirement. Your retirement is whatever you save. So don't be afraid to charge. And I say charge. Don't be afraid to go up on that labor rate. Believe me, I could go up in labor rate, and my customers will not blink an eye. They won't even know. So charge whatever you need to charge, because you need to save. You're going to work for 30. Some of us are going to work for 40 plus years, and then you're going to retire, and you're going to be retired for another 20 to 30 years. And you have no retirement to fall back onto other than what you have saved. And so if you're going to work all that time, by God, start putting some money away and start saving. That's number one. Number two, I'll say, if you're married, for sanity in your marriage, you don't bring your work home as much. I know people say that all the time, but have a date night with your wife or your significant other. Have a date night. I'm dead serious. My wife and I have a date night every week, and we go out and we don't talk business, or rarely ever do we talk business. It's always, for me, it's always a catch up on all the family events. She gives me my calendar of what I've got, social calendar that's coming up. Okay, we've got a concert that we're going to here. By the way, you have this you have to go do. It's a whole catch up on the crack open a bottle of wine. We have a dinner. We just split one meal, one salad, and one bottle of wine, and it's a date night. And it's one day a week, and you'll be surprised at how much catch up because we put blinders on, we go to work. And we go to work and we get down in there. And for those that are, in the shop working, and I put my blinders on and I nose down and I'm barreling away. And then I come home and I'm supposed to get filled in or pick up on everything that's going on around me. So my wife has to then pick up that baton and say, here, I'm passing you the baton. This is what you need to be doing this week, or this is upcoming. So pick that date night and go out on date night so you can play catch up on that.
I like that. It's real. It's a reality of life. You got to have. We had an episode about work-life balance, and I think when you're in a growth mode, you're temporarily slightly out of balance.
Big time. But you don't have to be.
You don't have to be, and or it doesn't have to be as tilted. Right?
Yeah.
Like it can be a little bit more, it might be an emphasis for a short while because you have to do certain things, but you still need to have some grounding and some other things attached to it. And so, but I really liked the way you just kind of summed that up, because I believe that the people who are watching the Garage Grid podcast in general are people who are trying to figure out how to grow, how to develop their shop, right? If they don't care about those things, they're not going to be paying attention to this program in the first place. So I think that was a really nice a nice way to kind of to wrap it up. And there are plenty of associations, if you're not in the state of Virginia, that you should be plugged into to check out. Mike was on a shop owners panel with us some time ago talking about coaches and the value of having those coaches. And if I remember correctly, it was the coaching that kind of pushed and prodded you to make sure that you were charging what you were worth. And so that was advantageous for you. And so I'm glad you're re-echoing that message. But if you're in the state of Virginia and you're not part of the VAA, then you're missing out on a lot of things that are going to help your shop grow, take it to the next level. And it sounds like you need to at least check that out. And that is at vaauto.org for those who are listening in. So vaauto.org, you can check that out. You can make sure that you get to the next the April convention in 2026 so you can shake Mike's hand on his way out the door.
Get out. Get out. Don't let the door hit you right there, buddy.
They have a council of younger folk to say, hey, here's what
next
gen, here's what we need, here's what's coming. They don't have a council for what has been. I mean, maybe you can enter the council for what has been. You sit around and reminisce. But no, I'm sorry, that's not right. But
and between now and October, we're going to have those. Or no, I say October and early November 6th. Mm-hmm. I think October the 20th and November 6th. We're having 4 kind of meet and greet opportunities for non-members to come talk, and they're going to be coordinated, and it'll be on the website. Go to the website, you'll see those locations where it will be. And so by God, please come out and say hi. And if you're here at the beach,
you're saying those will be posted, or they already are posted?
I'm pretty sure they're already on the website.
Okay.
If they're not, they will be. I'll make sure that they get posted up there.
And what are those programs called, those 4 quadrants?
Yeah, they're just quadrants. We took the state and just kind of chopped it into 4 quadrants.
Okay.
So Tidewater area of Virginia is going to be one. There's going to be one in Northern Virginia. I think that's the first one that we do. And then there's going to be 1 and 2 in the western part of the state.
And what are those events called?
They're just kind of meet and greets. Meet and greets.
So if they go to the homepage, they should look for meet and greets. A big button that says.
Yeah. Okay. Look for I'm trying to think of where he's going to be.
Okay.
You're going to make me.
Nope.
Look this up.
It'll
be on the webpage. It'll be if it's not already there, I will find it
and get it at it.
And get at it. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a plan. The vaauto.org. You can be checking that out. And so check that out. Okay. So here we go. I see upcoming events. Keys to real delegating webinar session 1 of 2? That's a Zoom call.
That's a Zoom call. Yep.
Okay. All right. So there's plenty of ongoing training. Again, plenty of opportunity for you to benefit from the VAA. And so there's really no reason to not be a part of it. And you can get out to one of those meet and greets if you're listening to this in 2025. Then check that out. All right. Mike, thanks again. We're going to kind of close this out with a quick note that the entire program, the Garage Grit podcast community, is found on Facebook, but it's brought to you by AA Shop Marketing, a digital marketing company specifically for repair shops. And their mission, as well as the Garage Grit podcast mission, is to help as many shops as possible. That's the goal. Help as many shops as possible. And some of them become customers of AA Shop Marketing, and that's fine. But in the meanwhile, we've helped a lot of shops. And so we're hopeful that some of the casual conversation that Mike and I had today will actually resonate with you, maybe get you thinking, maybe get you looking at stuff. And if you have questions about it, then hop out to the Facebook community, the Garage Grit podcast forum, and ask those questions there. Or by all means, just reach out to me. I'm Brad Herlock, your host. And Mike, thank you again for being with us.